Hello everyone, this is Rick, and today we are going to discuss about Mesopotamian civilization. Now this video is for the school students, specifically for class 6 from ICSE and CISCE board. This video, for your better understanding, has been divided into three parts. So please follow the first part today, and the other two parts will be coming soon. So this is according to the syllabus of ICSE and CISCE board. So let's proceed. Introduction to the Mesopotamian civilization. Now, what is Mesopotamian civilization? Where did it survive? How were the people in that civilization? All these things will be discussed in detail. But before that, let's go through an introduction of the Mesopotamian civilization. Timeline. The Mesopotamian civilization flourished from around 3500 BCE to 500 BCE. So, this was a civilization which survived for around 3000 years. And BCE here means before Christian era. Now, just like you have learned number line in maths, similarly, the date also functions in that way. Hence, BCE is always counted backwards. So 3500 BCE is much earlier than 500 BCE, because as we know it is like negative numbers, hence it is counted backwards. So Mesopotamian civilization survived for around 3000 years from 3500 BCE to 500 BCE. Region. Now, where did it survive? What was the place in where the Mesopotamians lived? It is located between the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers in what is modern day Iraq. So, today the country of Iraq roughly corresponds to the Mesopotamian civilization. Now, that does not mean that the country of Iraq as we see today existed 3000 years ago. No, it does not mean like that. It means the people who were there in the Mesopotamian civilization used to live in a place which today is called the country of Iraq. Mesopotamia is credited with being one of the earliest civilization contributing significantly to human history in areas of agriculture, writing, law, and urbanization. Now we will discuss these points one by one. So Mesopotamia is one of the earliest civilization. There were many civilizations which existed before Christian era, and among them we have civilizations like the Chinese civilization, Indus Valley civilization, Egyptian civilization, and Mesopotamian civilization. So Mesopotamia is one of the early civilizations. Now, why is it very significant? It is very significant in human history because it is one of the first civilizations to have agriculture, means people knew how to farm crops, and also there was writing in that part of the world. People knew how to read and write. There were law means rules and regulations which the people were supposed to follow. And also there was urbanization here refers to the city life or the culture of having a civilized society in a proper manner. The beginning of the Sumerian civilization marks the early phase, followed by subsequent periods such as Akkadian, Babylonian, and Assyrian civilization. So Sumer is also other name of Mesopotamia. Hence, Mesopotamian civilization is also called as Sumerian civilization. Now, there were many dynasties or areas of focus in various ages of the Mesopotamian civilization. The first period of Mesopotamian civilization belonged to the Akkadians. The second period belonged to the Babylonians, and the last and the final period of Mesopotamian civilization were dominated by the Assyrians. So these are different kinds of people who dominated over the land in different periods of time. So, with this, we will go to our next slide, and that is historical milestones and purpose. What are the major historical milestones? You know the meaning of milestones, that is the major contributions, the noteworthy features of a particular civilization. In this chapter, students will learn about the location and extent of Mesopotamian civilization. Where was the Mesopotamian civilization? How much was the span and area of the civilization? What were the areas which were under the influence of the Mesopotamians? Characteristics that defined Mesopotamian culture. Now, Mesopotamian culture cannot be equated. It is not similar to the Indus Valley culture, or it is not uh, as it is with the Egyptian culture. It is different. So, how is it different? What are the characteristics of the Mesopotamian culture? Contributions made by the Mesopotamians to subsequent civilizations. What are the contributions which the Mesopotamians made to the other civilizations? All these ancient civilizations used to have connections or contacts with each other. Hence, how did Mesopotamia help the other civilizations? The decline of Mesopotamian civilizations. Now, we have already discussed that Mesopotamian civilization survived up to 500 BCE. So, why did it stop surviving? Where did the people go? And why did the Mesopotamian culture cease to exist? That also we will learn here. What is civilization? Now, for basic understanding, let's read what is civilization. V. Gordon Child, an archaeologist, highlights the urban revolution as a key feature of early civilization. So, there was an archaeologist. An archaeologist is a person who analyzes materialistic things of the past. So, V. Gordon Child was an archaeologist who coined the term urban revolution, and he said that urban revolution is the key feature of early civilizations. Now, what used to happen in urban revolution? Revolution means a great change. Okay, so what were the great changes because of which we call it as urban revolution? Where the growth of large settlements. Now people will start living in large settlements. Before the urban revolution, people used to live in smaller settlements or villages, but now people will start living in large settlements, means it will cover a large area. Metallurgy means people will learn how to deal with metals. Now you have heard about bronze, right? Bronze is made out of two different metals like copper, tin, all these things. So these are alloys. Now people will have to learn how to mix different metals properly in order to make alloys. So that science of knowing how metals interact or mix with each other is called metallurgy. Writing, we all know what is writing. Here in the slide itself, you can see different kinds of writings. So people will know how to read and write. And also, there will be specialized labor come into existence. So, specialized labor means the society will be divided into different kinds of occupations. Like there will be a few people who will do farming, few people will do hunting, few people will be there who will be soldiers. So like this, society will be divided into specialized labor. Suppose one person is doing farming in the day and hunting in the night, then that is not specialized labor. Specialized labor means people will have a fixed occupation. So specialized labor, metallurgy, large settlements and writings are the characteristics of urban revolution. Now, Mesopotamia, land between two rivers. The term Mesopotamia actually means land between two rivers. And what are those two rivers? River Tigris and Euphrates. Geography. Mesopotamia was a fertile region due to the proximity of Tigris and Euphrates rivers, which supported agricultural development. So Mesopotamia is a very fertile region. Fertile region means farming is very much is very much developed in this region. The land or the soil here in this region is very much appropriate for farming. Farming can be done very good in this region. So why is it very fertile? Because it is close to the rivers Tigris and Euphrates. So this land gets a lot of minerals and also proper supply of water, and that in turn supported agricultural development. Fertile crescent. Mesopotamia formed the part of this crescent, a vital zone for the development of ancient civilization. Why is it called crescent? Crescent actually means a semicircular area. Okay, so when uh, in this map, if you see, it is like a semicircular area, thin circle. So, like that, Mesopotamia is a fertile crescent, means it is a vital zone for development of ancient civilization. All the ancient civilization had something to do with Mesopotamia. Rivers. The rivers provided a regular supply of water and fertile soil due to seasonal flooding. Now, every year the rivers used to flood, means water used to overflow from the rivers. Now, when muddy water overflows from the rivers and spreads in the area around, then again it will dry after some time, and when it dries after some time, a layer of soil accumulates over the area. That soil is called silt. Silt is very good for agriculture. Hence, because of the flooding of rivers, the area becomes filled with silt and in turn becomes very fertile. They also served as vital trade routes. Rivers are not only suppliers of water but also supplier of trade routes. People can navigate through the rivers with the help of ships. Hence, these rivers served as very important trade routes, facilitating exchange of goods and ideas. Now, when people will do business with one another, they will not just exchange things, they will also communicate with each other, they will talk with each other and exchange ideas. Map. The region includes modern day Iraq, parts of Syria, Turkey, and Iran. So, all these countries today are on the region of Mesopotamia. Society. How was the society during the ancient Mesopotamian civilization? Mesopotamian society was divided into three social classes. Now, here you will see in the modern society also there are numerous kinds of division. There is division between rich people and poor people. There is division between educated people and uneducated people. So, all these divisions form social classes. So, in the Mesopotamian society, there were three main social classes. What were they? The first and the most important class was called the upper class, and this included the rulers. One who is the king or the family of the king were the rulers. The priest means they were the advisors of the rulers. They used to advise the rulers on certain things, and also they were like the religious heads of the country, and also different other officials who used to help the rulers to manage the country. They held religious and political authority. So, all kinds of religious and political authority were to be taken by the upper class. Middle class: merchants, farmers, and artisans who produced goods and services. So, middle class had the people who were merchants, means businessmen, or people who used to exchange goods with one another. And also, there were farmers. Farmers means people who used to deal with agricultural things, and artisans. Artisan means people who make stuffs. Different kinds of things are made by the artisans, and they produced goods and other services. So these were the middle class. Lower class people included slaves who were either prisoners of war or people who fell into debt. Now, what are slave, or who were the slaves? Slaves are people who are forced to do some kind of work without any kind of payment. So, when the Mesopotamians used to go to other parts of the world, conquer people, they used to make those people as their slaves. It means they used to force them to do their work, they used to force them to become servants. And also, sometimes, suppose a person has taken money from a rich person. Now the person is not being able to pay back the money, then that person was made the slave of the rich person. That is how people who fell into debt become slaves. Family. The family unit was patriarchal, with father being the head. So, in this family, in the Mesopotamian society, they had families, and in those families, the father was the head, or the eldest male member was the head of the family. Women had some rights in trade and property, though men had more privileges. So, women had some kind of rights or some kind of authority in trade, and also they were given a little amount of property. But most of the facilities were for the men. City states. Each city was a self governing and controlled its surrounding territories. So, a big city was there, and that city had its own government, which means that city will have its own ruler, it will have its own officers, it will have its own army also sometimes. So, each city was like a state. Therefore, these cities are termed as city states. The key city states included Uruk, Ur, Nippur, and Babylon. So these are the major city states in the Mesopotamian civilization. Now, many people have a habit of uh, have confusing Ur with Uruk. Many people think that the short form of Uruk is Ur, but that's not the case. Ur and Uruk are two different cities. Agriculture, domestication of animals. How was the agriculture, and what animals were domesticated in the Mesopotamian culture? Agriculture was essential for sustaining the growing Mesopotamian population. Now, there were a lot of people living in the city states. What will they eat? They used to eat agricultural products. Hence, agriculture was the most important thing needed for sustaining the growing Mesopotamian population. Irrigation from the Tigris and Euphrates rivers made it possible to farm large areas of previously uninhabitable land. So, there were a lot of areas where the water didn't reach, and without water, plants cannot grow, right? So, irrigation was done from the Tigris and Euphrates river. Irrigation means channels, or channels used to be dug from the main river so that water could reach the agricultural fields. This process is called irrigation. So, because of irrigation, previously the lands where water never used to reach are now having ample amount of water, and because of that, agriculture is possible in land where previously water was not there. Mesopotamians domesticated animals like sheep, goats, cattle, and donkeys, which were vital for transportation, food, and wool. So, all these animals were domesticated by the Mesopotamians. From the name itself, you can understand sheep were suppliers of wool, goats and other cattle used to provide dairy products and also meat, and donkeys are still today they're used for transportation. So that is how the domesticated animals helped the Mesopotamians. Tools like plow improved agricultural productivity. So plows are tools which are used to dig the soil. Now before planting trees, if you have seen rice cultivation or wheat cultivation, you will see that before the seeds are put into the soil is furrowed, means the soil is dug properly, so that air gets inside the soil and other minerals and manures get mixed with the soil for proper agriculture. So plow is an instrument that helps to dig the soil properly, and because of that proper digging, agricultural productivity increased a lot. Crops included barley, wheat, dates, and flax, which formed the basis of Mesopotamian economy. So these are the crops which used to be cultivated, and these are the things which people in Mesopotamia used to eat. Now, religion and religious beliefs. No matter what kind of man lives in what kind of place, they will always have a god or many gods, or they will have a belief to some external power. That belief forms religion. Religion means a group of people having same kind of belief towards an external force. Polytheistic religion. Mesopotamians worshipped many gods, each associated with natural elements or human endeavors. So, Mesopotamians had many gods whom they worship. It is not a single god that the Mesopotamians believed on. Polytheistic means there were many gods present in their religion, and each had some kind of links with natural elements. Natural elements means air, water. So there was a god of air, there was a god of water, there was a god of sky. These means that each god had associations with natural elements. Anu, god of sky; Enlil, god of air; Ishtar, goddess of love and war. All these are important gods of the Mesopotamian culture. Priest played a central role in religious life and governance. So a priest is a person who claims to have connection with divine powers, means a connection with God. So people used to respect the priest and also sometimes worship them. Thus priests were very important in religious life and also governance. Temples, particularly ziggurats, were built as homes for gods and as centers of worship. So there were temples because gods need a place to stay, right? So those places in every cultures are called temples. So temples were specifically called as ziggurats, and they were built as homes for gods. It is a place where gods used to stay, ziggurat, and center and as centers of worship. Now people used to go in those places and worship their god. Thus ziggurats are places which are homes of gods and also centers of worship. Mesopotamian religion influenced their politics and social order, with kings often claiming divine right to rule. So religion was a very influencing factor in the Mesopotamian culture. People used to believe in gods a lot and also obey to what the priest used to say, and the kings, in order to show their authority, in order to show their power, said that they all had a divine right, means they were appointed by the gods to rule upon the people. So kings were like agents of gods on earth. Now, ziggurats and architecture. What were ziggurats and how were they built? Ziggurats, large pyramid like temples with terraced levels. Terrace level means, terraces means there used to be steps. So it is a structure like a pyramid, and there were steps of stories. Just like in your houses, you have ground floor, first floor, second floor. In ziggurats also, they had different levels. So those levels, as we go upwards, the levels, the area of the levels used to be smaller. Therefore it is called a pyramid like temple with terraced levels, serving as religious and administrative center. We have already said that this was supposed to be the home of God, and also since the influential people used to come here, it used to be an important center of management, hence administrative center also. Architecture. Early use of clay bricks due to lack of stone in Mesopotamia. Now, Mesopotamia is an area where stone is very expensive. Now, why some things become expensive? Because it is rarely available. It is not available commonly. So, Mesopotamia, the area of Mesopotamia had very less stones. Hence, for building something, clay bricks were used in Mesopotamia. Houses were built using sun dried bricks. Sun dried bricks means, if you have seen how bricks are made, a block of clay is made and then it is fired in a kiln in high temperature so that it becomes reddish and hard. Now that is fired bricks. Okay, and sun dried bricks means a block of clay left open in the sunlight so that it dries. So houses in Mesopotamia, houses of common people, were made using sun dried bricks, while public buildings, means important buildings like ziggurats, used to be made of fired bricks, because fired bricks are much harder than sun dried bricks. City planning. Cities were designed around a central temple complex with administrative buildings and market places. Now, cities were around a central temple complex, means a temple used to stay in the center and all the houses and other official buildings were around the temple. So temple was in the center, and all the administrative buildings, common houses, marketplaces, these used to be built around the temple. So that was all for today. With that, we end part 1 of the Mesopotamian civilization. If you are a student of class 6 from ICSE or CISCE board, then this video will be according to your syllabus. And if you want anyone, you can share this video with anyone. They will get a lot of knowledge regarding the Mesopotamian civilization. So stay tuned for the next videos and support me so that I can bring better contents in future. Thank you.